Welcome to last month today, just in time for a brief... I can't do it. I can't. I tried, Matt Rogers. I can't. Cut! All right. Welcome to FaBled Hunters.
I'm Yuanji.
I'm Saint.
And here's your update for last month.
And the month before, because Yuanji was sick last time.
Yes. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Number one, and this was kind of big news when it first happened, TCG Player acquires Channel Fireball.
A while back.
Yep. And then a couple months later, eBay announces that they're acquiring TCG Player.
Yep. To be closed in the first quarter of 23.
Yeah, for $295 million.
Yep.
I'm not too familiar with like the business aspect of things, so I do know that when it was announced, it said that TCG Player will continue to operate as an independent entity, but
that's what they always say. That's always the narrative.
Yeah. If you could, like, from your perspective, break it down, like what do you think like eBay and TCG Player both like stand to benefit from this arrangement?
Well, it's just very simply industry consolidation, and it's building a monopoly. Because before, Binder Posts and Channel Fireball cooperated to build a Channel Fireball marketplace in competition with TCG Player.
Yeah.
And there already were not many options to find marketplaces for trading card games. And even like a year before that, I think we made an episode about PWCC getting booted by eBay.
Yeah, and then eBay starts their own kind of like authentication, whatever services for
through CGC.
Yeah, with high-end collectibles.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. So they're killing their competition. Now they're buying their competition, and they're making it so that the only option left is eBay. And that whole narrative about, we're going to merge, but we're going to keep, everybody's going to keep their jobs, that's just to keep people calm, but that's never what happens.
Did you say that's more something for like the employees to like read about rather than...
It is. And to try to come across as the good guys where they rarely ever are, because, these companies, all they care about is their stock price, their shareholders, and all the executives care about is what their next bonus check is going to look like. I mean, eBay is an inherently nasty entity, and throughout the pandemic, the first thing they did was cut off customer service, meaning they've just fired probably thousands of people, and they were like, due to the pandemic, we can't offer customer service in the United States anymore. And my wife as a seller was, and other probably millions of sellers worldwide were deeply inconvenienced. And to use, a worldwide tragedy as an excuse, that's the type of actions that eBay and publicly traded companies of that size would take. Furthermore, I have a little bit of a speculation, but it's not really a speculation, not fully a speculation, meaning I don't have any insider information about this, but just to use my industry experience, a company called Radian Capital had made an initial investment in TCG Player.
I had heard about that.
Yes, the Radian Capital deal. I think it was valued at something like $60 million. And private equity firms like Radian usually want to get out in 3 to 5 years. So it makes sense that whatever they rolled in at a $60 million valuation, they're cashing out in roughly that window, 3 to 5 years, at $295 million. So the private equity firm made their 5X. They wanted to get out. They saw that this was a, lucrative move. And they're like, hey, executive management of TCG Player, peace. We're making our 5X, and we're going to plunder the next company for pennies on the dollar and make, 5X off of that. So that's my take on the whole TCG Player eBay, why it happened.
Yeah.
Because the larger shareholders, the larger investors just wanted their return, and they're going to pick other low-hanging fruit, other embattled companies to invest in during this time. Now, for the consumer, I can only say that if I know anything about monopolies, they're going to slowly escalate the prices. They're going to make the customer service experience inferior to how it was before, just like eBay did at the beginning of the pandemic, because eBay do eBay.
One thing that I can say is that I've sold on both platforms, eBay and TCG Player, and usually like the experience with selling TCG Player, at least like before the acquisition, is generally like a better one, because TCG Player's customer service was run by people who kind of understand the industry.
Yeah, industry
folks.
So,
like normally, let's say like somebody, you ship them a card, they don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you do is like, okay, well, can you just like send me a proof like something got damaged, and then contact me, and then we can try to like work out like something that's like equitable.
Yeah, absolutely. There's
on
communication.
On eBay, if you try to like work something out, they just like they're like, we're gonna like ban you.
We're gonna ban you if you keep communicating with our client. You're going against our terms of service. Blah blah blah. Yeah, my wife's gotten banned before.
It just seems like a much more like impersonal. It's just like you just like do this, and as a result, there's also people who like loophole the eBay kind of like standard operating procedures to kind of like scam people.
Yeah, there are people, bad actors who literally just take advantage of eBay's system to cheat sellers out of their money. And they even cheat eBay out of money. They put up listings, sometimes they get paid, and they know that there's like a 2 or 3 week delay, especially in international transactions. They get funded their money, they turn off their eBay account, and eBay's held footing the bill for that for whatever reason, because the buyer never gets their money. So all sorts of no bueno up in that system, and I can only predict future, bad experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
On a more lighthearted piece of news, Pro Tour Lille happened shortly after, kind of in the middle of September, and Matthew Folks won on Briar, moving it closer to Living Legend. And also notably that week, Joris, I'm gonna mess up his name, is like Van Helt or something.
Van Helt? Okay. Prism, the Prism player, right?
Won on Prism. Taking Prism to Living Legend. There was a little bit of controversy. It was called like Prism Gate or something.
Oh, really?
Because before Lille, there was, when they did Starville Living Legend, they had like the honor call. And in one of the pro quests, they attributed a win to Starvo to a player who did not play Starvo, played Prism.
Okay.
And as people might know, Prism was only short, I think, like 4 points or something.
Two, I thought. 998.
Yeah. Something like very little in order to just achieve Living Legend before the weekend of Pro Tour Lille. And actually, if this person had been attributed correctly, then Prism should have been LL'd prior to the tournament.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. So
was there any substance to that?
I do believe that it was attributed like the points were attributed incorrectly. However, I mean, LSS never like retroactively applied points or anything.
Okay.
I think it's one of those things more where they might have felt like kind of changing the ban list or whatever like after the fact would have been more detrimental.
Two wrongs don't make a right, right?
It's like you messed up on like the bookkeeping for like this, but as far as all the players who are preparing are concerned, Prism is legal. So
so what the heck, just roll with it, right?
Yeah. And Prism ended up LLing that tournament at the calling, so
to the dismay of a lot of Prism fanboys.
Yeah. Fina was very upset.
Dorinthia's happy though. and so is Oldham.
And most notably after that tournament, a lot of people were kind of wondering, is Briar next on the chopping block? They announced that they were scaling back the Living Legend points for the national season. And I think that the argument that they gave was a good one. They basically said that they designed the Living Legend format to kind of rotate heroes out at a kind of like steady pace as the sets are coming out.
Yeah.
And obviously you got some outliers like Starvo maybe like went way too fast.
Starvo was way too good during that meta. 3 months or something like that, and he was already out.
Yeah.
Was it even 3 months? February to May, right?
It was like 2 seasons total, like 2 Pro Quest seasons plus like 1 major.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean there's obviously gonna be like some hiccups along the way. But they announced that they were scaling it back. Makes sense. They increased the number of nationals that were happening this season. I think
the point system scaled down too because there are more events now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Briar still had a chance to LL, They ended up cutting all the points by half.
Mm-hmm.
Also, shortly after the Pro Tour, I think during the Pro Tour on the second day, James White kind of alluded to it a little bit during the banquet Q&A.
Yep.
He said that there might be some dual classes in the future. They announced Dynasty formally, the product information, how many cards of each rarity they're going to be, as well as the formal release date, which I think is November
11th? 11/11, yeah.
Yeah, and they are going to have new heroes. They spoiled already the Emperor. They spoiled Yuanji, the Royal Protector.
Yeah, Yoji's a little PvE facing, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think it's more like cooperative play. It's like I'm gonna tank like the hit for you.
Yep.
Kind of. If I play like a supportive role, I roll with like all my like heal abilities plus maybe like blues to absorb the damage. Maybe that's his like niche.
Yep.
They also spoiled a helmet that I think is actually potentially kind of busted.
Really?
Yeah.
But you need to know what royal actually means, right?
Maybe, but
Maybe.
It gives you a gold token when it comes into play. Or when you start with the game.
But all you can use that is for cash in for 2
yeah,
cards,
yeah, you
right?
can use cash in. You can use knick-knack bric-a-brac.
Okay.
You got a potion. Most notably, I think it can be quite busted for Kano and Blitz.
Really?
Yeah, because cash in is like super powerful for Kano. It's just like an additional tome.
Really?
Yep. And also potentially like if you like run knick-knack, putting like 2 potions out for the price of like 1 action point could also be pretty good. Like he does scale quite well with energy potions.
Okay.
So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
The competition for that slot is basically Kano was running like either one of 2 like common equipment helms before. He's running either Ragamuffin's hat or Talismanic Lens.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I don't like hearing about Kano drawing more cards, though. I've already experienced it firsthand, and it's still very traumatic when Kano draws his deck when you're presenting lethal.
Shane just like started thinking like, oh wait, cash in draws you 2 cards. And now he just starts the game with the gold.
That's kind of what it is. You talk about it being tomes. Like, the more cards Kano draws, the more exponential options he has, and the more lethal he becomes when you're presenting lethal.
Maybe Shane is gonna have to learn Kano one of these days.
One of these days. I got a good mentor.
He made a promise to James White. I remember in the interview, James White was like, you should learn how to play Kano.
I did? I'll have to review that.
A long time ago. We'll have to check the tapes. Check the receipts.
James, what is your favorite class in the world of Flesh and Blood?
Wizard by far.
Wizard by far?
Yeah, not even close.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't say many nice things about Kano. So, is it Kano specifically, or there are other wizards that you like more than Kano in the future of Flesh and Blood? Or is Kano your favorite?
I think Kano's just my favorite, actually, but there are other wizards that are cool.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll try to go easy on Kano.
Uprising was named Best Trading Card Game of 2022 by Tabletop Gaming.
Yeah, Tabletop Gaming.
And I had never heard of these guys before. You said you did some background research.
Yeah, I did some research. I looked at their website. I looked them up. They're owned by Warner, like from Warner Brothers. So they're apparently very legitimate. They've got,
it's like a legit media company.
Absolutely, yes. And they rate other games as well, other tabletop games, other forms of media.
Yeah.
And I mean, Uprising compared to who are the other front runners? Some Pokemon game that wasn't really playable.
Pokemon, I think it was like Uprising, Pokemon,
Neon Kamigawa,
Neon Dynasty Kamigawa.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. They named like a best TCG of the year, but I think they're also just kind of rating like the best set.
Okay.
That's come out.
It's a product focus, right?
Yeah, I think it's a product focus. We know that Uprising sold very well.
Yeah, we do.
On the initial release, on the secondary market, I think on TCG Player is like one of the best-selling SKUs.
Yep.
So not a huge surprise, but definitely kudos to the LSS team for.
That's a feather in LSS's cap. Congratulations, LSS.
For coming up with the best TCG, I guess, product
of the year. Yeah. I mean, for us, it's like, duh. Do you even play FaB? Come on now.
Yeah. I think Uprising in general was a big hit. It had like an aesthetic that a lot of people were into, as well as having a lot of classes that people enjoyed. The limited format. I think I know that a lot of the stores in at least the New York City area just like frequently every week they're like, what do you guys want to run? Do you want to run Blitz, CC? Everyone's like, no, we want to play Uprising Draft. So
really,
there's a lot of support, I think, among the player base. A lot of people find it a lot of fun, despite what some players might say.
Yeah, there was that whole controversy about, whoever goes second wins. Can you explain that really quickly? I didn't get it because I don't play enough.
Okay, so in Flesh and Blood, usually you go first, and you get to arsenal a card, and you get to set up a bigger potential play with 5 cards first.
Yeah.
Or you get to go second, and then you get to be the first person to kind of take the initiative against your opponent. When they block with cards, then it actually matters.
Whereas the first turn, but that's why I've been taught by some pro players that the first turn you usually just want to set up, filter your hand a little bit, pitch something, arsenal, make a rune chant token, or use some resources to, get your hand ready for turn 2. And maybe you're expecting a little bit of damage, you're expecting to field some damage, and swing back with a 5-card fully loaded hand.
Yeah,
right?
This is just it's just because of the math of how it works out. Usually it's pretty difficult and most of the people who are complaining about this just draft Fi a lot.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard when you're playing, especially like 5 versus 5, to come up with like 20 damage in one turn. It's a lot more common to come up with like around like 15, 16 damage with 4 to 5 cards.
Yeah.
So basically how the math breaks down is you start the first game you started your first turn, you have access to 4 cards in arsenal. They attack you for, I don't know, like 10, and maybe they arsenal a card. Then when you attack them back, unless you're presenting 20 or more damage, they don't really have to block.
Okay.
And then they get to like attack you back. If you took the 10, then they only have to do 10 damage to make you block. And once you start getting the blocking loop, that's when you...
Of course.
Yeah.
So you're saying that after you extinguish all of your cards, it's very hard to survive the next turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I guess that makes sense.
That's just how it shakes out. But I mean, I've been having a lot of success drafting like other heroes as well, especially like Icelander and Dromai, the going first, going second. I mean, there's a lot of play to it, but more importantly than that, I think for the average consumer, it's a lot of fun. Clearly, the people have spoken. They think that the product is a great hit.
Yeah.
So I think that's all there is to it. National season is kind of almost fully done. In this week that we're filming, there's only 2 more nationals, I think Denmark and Singapore, that were postponed past the initial kind of like window, 3-week window.
Okay. So that means 30-something countries have already held their nationals.
34 countries, I think, have held their nationals. There's 36 in total, which is a bump up from the previous year. I think the first year there was like 22 or something, I want to say.
Yeah, because at the Pro Tour, I think 26, that was in May, and now it's October. In 5 months, we've got 10 countries? There's 26 in May, and now there's 36 countries with enough of a player base to hold these national events. So that bodes really well for the growth of this game.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that if you just play the game within your own local play groups, or you just like watch our videos, you might not understand is that this is like truly an international game. And I think that's what the LSS kind of like set out initially to make. They wanted to make like an international game. I think at first they called it like the next like classic TCG or something along those lines.
Yeah. And speaking of international game, I think we featured on FaBled Hunters that we helped Vietnam get the game.
They held their first, I think, nationals.
Yeah.
It was Blitz, and I think it's really cool that LSS was like, okay, national season is supposed to be CC or like mixed like draft plus CC, but we understand that the community in Vietnam is not as like fully developed or mature. They don't have access to as many cards. So for Vietnam, they just did a Blitz tournament. Dorinthia won.
Oh really?
Vietnam.
Oh, you actually? Wow, I didn't follow. That's cool. Dane store, right? Dane Lance.
I believe so.
Yep.
And so I mean, I think it's great that LSS is putting the effort to kind of develop out, even in these countries that maybe don't have like distribution all set up yet. They still find a way to do it. I think Brazil just got distribution.
I was going there. Same thing. Like we started by sending out the welcome decks to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Now they're set up. They have a nationals. The gentleman, I can't remember his name. I'll look him up on Facebook. I'll include it. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the lead. He reached out, and I think we sent something like 30-something decks to Brazil. And he finally, Brazil got LSS distribution.
It's great.
There. So congratulations, Brazil. Hope you guys will show up for national season soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, by next year, right?
Next year.
Yep.
A little bit of like mixed news during the national season. There's a little bit of a debacle with the UK Nationals. First, they get a trophy that says England Nationals. LSS promised to kind of do a little swap after the tournament, and they followed through on that.
Okay.
Secondly, they had a little bit of like scheduling mishap. Obviously, could not have predicted that there would be a kind of like globally affecting event such as the Queen dying.
Oh, wow. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and then
we went to her crib like the week before. Yeah.
You said hi.
We said hi.
And there was just like a big, not only like international kind of like movement around like this event, but then also I think locally, since the event was supposed to be held in London, there were concerns that there would be either disruptions to kind of like transportation and being able to like readily like get access to the venue. There were concerns about whether or not it was appropriate to be holding an event like this during the period of like national mourning or whatever. And so I think that the execution of how they kind of addressed all these concerns wasn't taken in the best way. So three days before the national is supposed to take place, so it's supposed to take place on Saturday. 4 days. I think they made the announcement on Tuesday that the nationals was going to be postponed, and then and LSS advised all the players if you made travel accommodations to contact like the airline companies, the hotels, ask for a refund. There's a huge uproar about this because honestly, like a lot of these people weren't going to get refunds.
Yep. All their plans are already set, and you know,
and
plane tickets are booked.
The notice
lodging is booked.
The notice is super short.
Yeah.
Then, kind of hearing this feedback, they decided a day or two later to just hold the event at the regularly scheduled time. But obviously, some people just decided to cancel their plans. So LSS decided to make good to these people, saying, email us if your travel got severely disrupted or disrupted in any way, explain your situation, and we'll find a way to kind of make good on our mess up.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that, a company taking accountability for their actions, right? Like, I compare this to the Double Masters, was it? Yeah, the Double Masters
UPC
incident of the UPCs and whatnot. And, like, you know, I hear some people a year later just we're out of packs, big middle finger. Thank God we got our packs, but, like, that was ridiculous. Anyways, yeah, man, it sounds like you're fudding LSS, man. What are we turning into? I thought all we did was kiss the butts of LSS and sing their praise from rooftop to rooftop, right?
I don't think we're fudding. I think I think we're objective. We're trying to be objective. I think it is true that LSS kind of didn't have the best execution trying to handle this situation. I think
they make mistakes.
Yeah, I think there was a combination of things that they could have done. Like they could have either decided earlier, they could have
was there enough time though between the passing of the Queen and everything?
So there was about a 1 to 2 week window. So if they had decided immediately, I think all the players would have gotten a 2-week notice.
Who would have known that there were like 16-hour lines to go, have a viewing for the departed?
I think that it was definitely an unfortunate kind of like act of God type of scenario.
Mitigating circumstances, right?
I think that if they had just come out ahead of time and said like, oh, we're gonna try to hold the event as we can, but if you can't make it for like whatever reason, like I think the make good was a great gesture. Yeah. But I think that if they had communicated it in a different order, it would have been much better received.
Oh, I completely agree there. I was just kidding earlier about the fun. But still, I mean, if anything, I think it was the head fake kind of and then on that made the situation more turbulent.
Yeah.
But these guys are people. I think they tried their best to be considerate about the circumstances, and they were put between a rock and a hard place. But at the end, in good faith, financially, they tried to make people whole, right? They went above and beyond the responsibilities of a trading card game publisher, paid for rooms, flights.
And I think in this situation, actions speak louder than words. So them saying things like, "Oh, we're sorry for the inconvenience," where they didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually taking action to try to make these people whole for whatever inconveniences or financial kind of like problems that were kind of caused by any of these, like the cancellation and then So I think actions speak louder than words. I think that it's great that LSS is putting in the effort to actually do something, rather than just offering.
Put their money where their mouth is, rather than apologizing on behalf of the patriarchy and banning 7 cards. Right?
Like, oh, I'm sorry.
We at Wizards apologized. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I forgot to mention during the national season, your friends at Team Dragon Shield managed to do the 3-country sweep.
Yeah, 3 out of 3.
Which was quite impressive.
Yeah. Was it Nick Butcher? No, it was
Nick
Tarek
won Australia.
Patel. Tarek Patel first. Canada. So he's a double champ.
Australia was first. So.
Australia.
Yeah. So Nick was first. You were right.
Okay.
Nick was first.
Yep.
Then Tarek won.
And then lastly,
and then
Matt won.
I feel like did Matt have like some added pressure? It's like, oh man, two of the teammates, they got it. Now I'm gonna have to try real hard so they don't make fun of me during team practice.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he pulled it through, made it through with an Oldham deck. I think all 3 of them played Oldham.
No, Matt played Dromai. Matt had to have played Dromai.
No.
Are you sure?
I am almost 100% sure.
We'll check the tape.
Okay.
We'll check the tape. Congrats, guys.
Yep.
I was really fortunate at Lille fortunate/unfortunate at Lille to spend a night at the Lille Pro House.
Fortunate for the company, unfortunate for the environment, I would say.
Fortunate for the company because it was great seeing the pros at work.
Yeah.
And unfortunate because bedbugs in Lille. Yeah, I wasn't the only one. Some other notable players, not me, I'm not notable, but some other notable players had a bout of bedbugs in Lille, right?
Our house had bedbugs in it. We had to move out, as well as I think Sunflower Samurai had their kind of accommodations overturned because of bedbugs.
Yeah. Unfortunate for me, but fortunately I was the only one impacted. And although days 2 and 3 I was like woozy from getting assaulted, like 50 bites on one side of me, like guess what? It didn't matter because I don't play Viscerai good anyway.
Okay.
So yeah. But we do want to see how they'll do, Team Dragon Shield will do in the Worlds. Yep. And I got an invite back. They're like, we're sorry for the first time. Hopefully you'll come back and hang out with us and do some filming. I didn't even get any filming. I got like one picture of Nick, Matt, and Tarek on the kitchen table, and then like we settled in, and I had to move out at like 5 a.m. Like,
so we have so I'll do a makeup series.
Yes,
at Worlds.
At Worlds, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Lastly, there's 2 pieces of not exactly Flesh and Blood related news, but Rudy Alpha Investments kind of had his 69 anniversary,
6.9 year anniversary.
And he, I think, sold a kit that included some objects from like all of the games.
MTG, FaB, and MetaZoo to take the lead.
Yeah.
As well as supplementary items from Weiss Schwartz and even Pokemon.
Yeah, and he kind of gave out these, I think it was a lottery-based system.
Yeah.
Where you get like some drops that are higher rarity. I think the most rare items that I saw for Flesh and Blood in his drop were like original artist proofs for the Rudy the Gem Keepers.
Yep.
That had the like Alpha Investments little stickers on the back.
There were 2 artist proofs of the Rudy Gem Keeper, and there are artwork made by the LSS team. Some say it's art, some say it's doodles. I just think it's really cool, one of one cards.
It's just like a piece of history, even if they don't have a lot of financial value. I think when I saw a lot of the negativity towards it, they're like, "Oh, that's not worth anything." I'm like, well, that's kind of a shitty way to like look at it.
It is just looking at it due to value. Yeah, there's so much negativity.
It's like, how much can I sell this for? I was like, why don't
exactly. Why don't you just hold on to it? And you're respecting this content creator.
Yeah, it's like a cool piece of flesh and blood history.
There was so much smack talk during that week because Rudy was promoting his 6.9 year anniversary for literally a full week of his content and talking about the piece in general, plus talking about the FaB piece, the Magic piece, the MetaZoo piece. And he was just trying to like communicate to his patrons, hey guys, this is the only time it's happening. In Rudy's own words, he was like, I've been doing YouTube about TCGs for a while. I wanted to make a TCG product in the image of my channel. Or in other words, I wanted to make a TCG product the way I believe a TCG product should be made. And indeed he did that. He made like a Rudy version of a souped up secret lair. And there was so many people, hundreds of people being negative. I would venture to guess that the hundreds of people talking crap about Rudy's product didn't even have the financial wherewithal to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because in the end, that sale lasted a total of 3 official minutes. The email went up and then about 2,500 kits. There are only 2,450 kits made.
Yeah.
But he oversold by almost 100 kits. So over 2,500 kits got sold. And now he's in the middle of, handling the hurricane and handling the 100 kits that were oversold. I think he's doing a makeup, right?
Yeah, I think this is another instance of like put your money where your mouth is, or like actions speak louder than words. It's clear that there is a lot of people who kind of find value in this.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, kudos to Rudy for creating a product that he loves.
Yeah.
And for it being well received by
selling over $1.6 million of product in a pretty bad recession in 3 minutes.
Yep.
And I personally say that I said it for days, even in high-end collector groups, people were fighting, people were being negative. And I said from the beginning, it's like, look at the TCG market. Look at what Rudy's done. Rudy, I may not like MetaZoo, but Rudy brought MetaZoo to the forefront. I love FaB, and I would not be involved in FaB, and thousands of others would not be involved in FaB. And FaB probably wouldn't be where it is today without Rudy. And in Magic, I've, had a lot of my buying and selling strategies, my collecting, my investing strategies in MTG because of Rudy. And just life in general. The guy, I think he's got some really base takes on how to navigate in this, post-pandemic environment. And sometimes I go to his content for advice. Sometimes I go to his old videos. He's got over 3,000 videos for his sage wisdom. And at the end of it all, because this is towards the twilight of Rudy's YouTube career, if you bought his product, you either bought it for the product itself or you bought it out of respect for Rudy. And I would venture to guess that more people bought it out of respect for Rudy, or at least I'd like to think so, out of respect for Rudy, than thinking that they were going to buy it and flip it or whatever the heck they were going to do with it. And then there was also, within the Patreon, there was also a lot of people bitching and complaining that because the limit was 4 cases for Rudy kits, that, the whales would take down all the Rudy kits or whatnot. And I think only something like 7% of the people that bought got 4 Rudy kits. Meanwhile, somewhere close to about 80% of the people only got 1 kit. And Rudy is like, even if I limit it at 1, it probably would have only lasted for another like 4 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was really crazy. It was an amazing product, or an amazing promotion of the product.
Did you get any?
Yeah, I got 4, obviously.
Okay. I just had to ask.
To be fair, I had the option to get 4 times about 5 different people, but I felt that it would be a pretty oversubscribed product, and I felt that going skirting around the rules and having proxies purchase on my behalf probably wasn't appropriate and probably would not be a good faith action towards Rudy's intent. So,
crossing my fingers that you got one of the artist proofs.
Right? Crossing my fingers that we get to purchase.
Some James White also has some signed stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the LSS team has some of the goods, so I'm looking forward to it. We will probably open up some stuff on FaBled Hunters in the future.
And kind of last piece of not Flesh and Blood related news, they just announced the newest set, or some of the cards that are going to be in the newest set for Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
And I just thought it was like kind of a funny piece. So they're doing a return to kind of I think probably the storyline that got us into Magic when we first started.
Yeah.
As the Brothers' War. It's Urza versus Mishra. It's all of these things that are calling back to kind of like a nostalgia for MTG story.
Trying to, at least.
And Wizards just announced their newest like high-end variant, which is the old card with the old border foil.
Yep.
And then it's like a collector number, Wormcoil Engine, 1 out of
500. Exactly. It's completely silly.
How do you feel about serializing these cards?
Well, I think, like Rudy's been saying for 2 to 3 years, and I have to agree with his take, they're just turning into like baseball cards and they're manufacturing scarcity. The last set, Dominaria United, they found 60 boxes of Legends from 1994. They just unearthed it somehow. Meanwhile, the boxes were all from a temperature-controlled environment, right? In some warehouse, and they found it, trying to like just pull one over on people, thinking we're all idiots. That's obviously already tanked, because if you look at Dominaria United, most people who open up boxes were pulling out, commons after opening up thousands of dollars of products. Legends commons were 30 cents or something like that.
I think you have to open like each case of collector booster boxers comes with 6 boxes of collector,
and you get 2. So it's most likely
a little over like $1,000 per
2 commons for 60% return, or 60-cent return in Legends cards.
But they're old.
Oh, they're old. They're from 94. It's like, guys, go on TCG Player and go buy your own copy of Dirkwood Boards for 25 cents near mint. Please. So that fell on its face. And now they're trying to, like, reignite and rekindle this whole nostalgic feeling for people that were collecting during the Antiquities times when Urza and Mishra was all the rage. Or, Urza's Saga. They're trying to, like, anchor people towards that experience. And meanwhile, it's just new art that's been reprinted and reprinted and reprinted like 50 times over, and they just put that shooting star border on it from the mid 90s to the late 90s to the early 2000s, thinking that, oh look, let's print this in 2022 and let's put in the style of like 20 years ago, and we're gonna get a whole bunch of Timmies buying our product because it's out of 500. It's like, I don't care if you're printing Liliana of the Veil for the 53rd time if it's got an extra number on it. I don't care that there are 500 Tarmogoyfs that have the shooting star foil. There's no rhyme or reason. Like back in the days when the shooting star foil came out, and I would say that the first iteration was probably Urza's Legacy, I think, of the shooting star foil. That was because that was new. Those are the OG foils. Those were like the first instances of the foils, and that's when Wizards of the Coast was actual WotC, not Hasbro. And they were printing out these very, very scarce foils. And the product spoke for itself. The quality spoke for itself. And they didn't need to number the cards. Now they're just numbering the cards. And I will say this, if Flesh and Blood ever starts like numbering their cards, I'm gonna be deeply disappointed. I'm not saying I'll leave the game, but like that's just not a good faith action. That's artificial scarcity that's used to manipulate the minds of very, very unintelligent people. It just to create some FOMO, like, oh, I've got to get one of the 500, just like, oh, I've got to get one of the Legends cards.
It's kind of interesting. We didn't talk about this because it's not news. It's like speculation.
Mm-hmm.
I have two things.
Yeah.
First, kind of my take on the whole situation. I think that the fact that they're even making this as a product, as a high-end variant, speaks to, I think, two things. One is the fact that the product that they're trying to harken back to was actually really good. Like at the time, like when
you mean back in the day?
Yeah, like
yeah.
when they made that product, like that product must like objectively be better than what they're kind of coming out with today, because there's people who really find like value in even like a callback, like they have like old border fetch lands that were like popular from Modern Horizons or stuff like that. So it's like people recognize that the product, as Magic was at the time, was like really good.
Okay.
And my other takeaway is that I find serialization, at least in sports cards, I kind of get it a little bit more, especially because for a lot of the sports cards, every year they come out with a new set and it kind of has a tie-in with like the season of that year. So usually like when they come out with the sports cards and like something is like really valuable, especially if it's like a serialized card, it also has like a tie-in with like, this football club won the like the Champions Cup this year, or like this NBA team won the championship this year, and so because of that, there's demand for these players like serialized cards. Which is kind of like from an external like organic source.
Okay.
And then I feel like if you're labeling like a Wormcoil engine, I don't really see why this Wormcoil engine is better than like an OG Wormcoil engine.
Yeah, it's whatever it is, a 6/6 creature that comes in and can split into smaller creatures. That's what the Wormcoil engine does, right?
Yeah. I don't personally get it that much. I wanted to bring up a kind of unfounded rumor. Originally, I think one of the distributors for Flesh and Blood, kind of when they did the Dynasty reveal, said that, I don't know if this is true or not, but they had in their like promotional materials that the Marvel Emperor was going to be the rarest card that was ever printed in Flesh and Blood, and it was going to be like in 1 in 10,000 packs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard of that, but I didn't know if it was legitimate or not. I haven't been able to find the source. I don't even know if they made like a Facebook page or anything or a post about it.
I think this was just like materials that were like distributed out from the distributor to stores. It's like every set that comes out, the distributor sends like a flyer. I was like, buy this order this.
Like the ICV2 promotion, right?
Yeah, it's like hey, can you like order this this new set that's coming out. So I just wanted to get your take. So Flesh and Blood obviously has kind of tried to experiment in terms of things that will sell the pack. So things like variants. Originally they tried to do cold foil. I think they did cold foil legendaries starting in Monarch that were not equipments. They tried that. They tried alternate art rainbow foils, which I think generally pretty well received. They tried with Uprising.
Channel Lake Frigid, right?
Yeah, they tried full arts. Full art cold foils, which I think like the Marvel cards, which I think are very well received. In terms of
they're really
driving people's demand, their appreciation for like wanting to buy more of the product so that they can get a hold of these cards. So clearly, like LSS is going to continue to experiment and try to like develop like. At the end of the day, they're still a business. They're trying to make money off of making like the best product possible to get people interested in buying it. But like, how do you feel about them introducing the idea of like lottery cards into the mix?
I wouldn't call it a lottery card. I would just call it a more rare version of FaBled, because FaBled was 1 in 960 packs, right?
So it was like 10 times.
That was really, really tough to get. I would just have to assume that the Emperor you can get in non-foil. Or even in rainbow foil.
No, this is like the marveled version.
No, exactly. Yeah. So there's one really, really rare card. And let me just say this. Like, Uprising has been really fun to open for me as a collector. And it really hits hard when... This literally happened this past week. It really hits hard when I'm in the middle of doing like a 5-figure Magic, me giving Magic and getting FaB in return deal, like Magic for FaB deal, and the seller or the other side, he was like, "Hey, why don't you just throw in a couple cold foil Crowns of Providence? And I'm just like, I haven't even, and a Tomultai. He's like, oh, I'm missing the Tomultai and a Crown of Providence. We're a little bit apart. Could you just toss them in? And I'm like, bruh, I've opened up 98 boxes and I haven't seen a Marvel Tomultai or a cold foil Crown of Providence. As a matter of fact, I've only pulled one rainbow foil Crown of Providence, and those are numbers. Those are literally our numbers right now, right?
Yep.
Like, it's a little bittersweet, but it's also really exciting because the chase continues. It's not, you know, like a numbered card or anything. It's not like this Emperor is different from that Emperor, but getting an Emperor Marvel card is going to be really cool. It's looking like 1 and 2 palettes, and it's going to put a very high value on the Emperor. I would, like, you asked me what I thought a card like that would be worth just before.
Yeah.
And I am saying that a card like that's probably worth, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,500.
Sure.
And I might be wrong. It might be $5,000 or more. But at the same time, I think you need to take it as that card's just fun to have, and it's not part of the main set. It's just a really special card, and if you get it, you're lucky. If not, you better, you know, pony up and trade, or, you know, save up some money for it. And it's exciting. I'm looking for the set, though. I'm looking at the main set and looking forward to the set standing on its own 2 feet, just like Uprising has. And I'm looking forward to the next chapter of FaB 2.0.
I kind of view these ultra scarce, like high rarity cards, kind of being a progression of collecting into the kind of digital age that we live in.
Okay.
So because I think when you first started collecting Magic, there weren't like online marketplaces where you just like go buy like the cards that you wanted.
Yeah.
And so like your access to cards basically is like whoever opens the cards at your like local area, the kids that you trade with, that was like what you were limited to. And so you can print cards that are a little bit more common because the collector, and there are like, I would say like a small subset of people who play the game or who are involved in the game. The collectors are a subset of that.
Yeah.
And then so like these collectors, they want to have access to like these cards at the time when you didn't have access to eBay, TCG Player, Facebook groups, whatnot.
Magic Card Market.
Yeah. It's just like harder to get the cards. Today, in the digital world that we live in, you can buy product from your store, you can buy product from other people's stores, like not around you.
Yeah, internationally.
You can buy singles, you can buy like whatever you want. And I think having this kind of like chase that you can't entirely have control over adds a little bit of excitement, I think, into the set.
Yeah, kind of what I was saying. The chase is still there, and I definitely want an Emperor. I might want more than one Emperor. We'll see, right?
Yeah,
I might want to grade an Emperor, right? Yeah, and like you said about Marvels, it's not a surprise. I'm gonna grade all the Marvels at some point, right?
Yeah, so I am kind of interested to see. I think LSS is still like, if this is true and not just a rumor, it'll be interesting to see if they continue doing this, because I do believe they're kind of in the phase of still like experimenting through to see like what kind of things people would like. I totally would not expect them to continue doing a lot more things like the cold foil pulses, like the cold foil legendaries, but like the cold foil dragons as like cards that you don't necessarily have to like put in your deck and shuffle. You know what I mean? Like there's just like different, like they're also like in the process of learning about what the audience wants. Okay,
so you're saying they're calibrating based on what succeeds and what fails.
Yeah,
and things like Doomsday or the other one, whatever the other one was, Eclipse and Doomsday, didn't work out that well. I thought the pulses actually did all right. They're legendary cards. There's one cold foil treatment of them. It's tournament legal, right? Because it doesn't bend.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for players is, here's my just like little aside, not necessarily totally relevant to the news, but it's just like I think people, like, you can look at the secondary market prices and see like what cards have like demand.
Okay. And you're saying the price and the demand is the public telling LSS what's good or not.
Exactly, because it's like, is it commensurate with the rarity of the card? Is it commensurate, like, if the card is like cheaper than the rarity would indicate, that means that people aren't like really into like collecting it, and there's like much fewer people who like want it. I think they're still like in the process like of figuring things out, and I don't think that process ever really stops.
That's fair. Yep.
It'll be interesting to see if the lottery card kind of takes off in demand, if people really go and like wow, I really want this. Or maybe there just won't be a lot.
Maybe it doesn't, and they do something different. But at least they're trying to give different takes to the players and the collectors. I mean,
without putting a number on it.
Yes, without putting a number on it. They're not literally trying to make everybody happy, but they're trying to satisfy as many pockets of the market as possible.
Yeah,
and that's good. That's progressive. That's being flexible and being creative, and caring about providing a quality product, which is ultimately what James and LSS want to do. On the other side, about the numbered cards, they're just trying to do some flashy BS every single time, and it's always the same crap again and again and again. And every single time they do it, sure that, WotC gets short-term money, but long-term, if you look at the past 20 releases, they're just treating the consumers, the customers of WotC, like Charlie Brown, right? With the football, with Lisa and the football. And it's like, oh, look at Double Masters. Oh, I'm pulling the football. It's worth nothing. It was, psych. It was all a joke. Dominaria United. Oh, psych. It was all a joke. Viscera Seer, the numbered cards. Yeah. Oh, look, it's a 5-cent common. Now it's a multi-$1,000 card for like a week. And then, psych, it's a joke. And it's just going to be more of the same. That's why we keep promoting Flesh and Blood, because that's where the creativity is. That's where the real excitement is. That's where the real value is. Whereas, the alternative is playing a game where they just give you the 52nd, 53rd, and 54th printing of Tarmogoyf, or, Liliana of the Veil, or Snapcaster Mage, or the Fetchland, or the Shockland. Aren't they doing Shocklands like 4.0 or something?
Oh, I know for the most recent set they did Painlands again. Painlands
from Ice Age, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the new hot thing, even though they've been around
since '95,
a really long time.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyways, your mileage may vary. If you're watching this show and you're watching this late, then you obviously are at least semi enjoying FaB.
Yep.
And if not, why are you watching this late in the first place?
Or just play more FaB. Instead of watching us, just try to get some more games in. Maybe I'll just enjoy it a little bit more.
All right. Well, I think we've covered all our topics, right?
Yeah, we covered all the topics. That was the last 2 months today.
And hopefully we'll bring some spicy news on the next one. We'll report on October news in November.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for now, guys. Bye.